This is The Space Shot, episode 285 for February 23rd, 2018. A Fire on Mir. I'm John Molnix. First off, I've installed some acoustic panels in my office, so let me know what you think about how the show sounds now that I've got those up. I still think I'm going to add a few more, but overall I'm pretty happy with the results. Today's episode is also coming out later because it's been the first chance I've had to read about today's topic. Usually I give myself a couple days lead time, but work has been crazy enough that it's prevented me from getting ahead. Today we're talking about the Mir space station, specifically the fire that broke out on February 23rd or 24th, depending on your time zone, in 1997. A chemical oxygen generator, or candle as they were called, caught fire on board the station. Since that canister was delivering pure oxygen, it ended up accelerating the fire quite quickly. I've talked about the chemical reaction that's used in this type of canister before, way back in episode 83. The emergency oxygen masks found on airplanes use chemically generated oxygen in the event of cabin depressurization. The fire on board Mir wasn't just a small burning piece of material either. Quote, "The fire resembled a box full of fireworks sparklers, all burning at once. The flame shot out about 2 to 3 feet in length." Jerry Lininger reported that pieces of metal were, quote, "flying across and splattering on the other bulkhead." The fire also generated an extreme amount of smoke, causing the astronauts and cosmonauts to experience poor visibility, not a good thing when you're trying to fight a fire. Fires in space are always a concern for NASA and Roscosmos, but in this case, the crew had to react even more quickly because the fire was blocking the access to one of the Soyuz capsules that could be used as a lifeboat should the crew need to abandon the station. With masks on and fire extinguishers in hand, the crew worked to put out the fire with the foam extinguishers spread throughout Mir. The micro and gravity environment meant that 2 people had to work together to use a fire extinguisher since the force of the foam could move its operator. Yay for Newton's third law. NASA and Roscosmos reports stated that the fire lasted about 90 seconds, but Jerry Lininger said the fire ended up lasting a lot longer, nearly 15 minutes.
The fire was basically in this region here, with the flame shooting across this way, and therefore, as you can see where the camera is basically where I was at, and we had one other body in front of me. I was passing the fire extinguisher, but we can only get one person in here to fight the fire because of the flame location, and at that time the other Soyuz was on the other side where Progress is now docked. So as you can see, it would have been very difficult to get through the flame itself to get to to one of the rescue vehicles. And it was very difficult to fight the fire because you could only get one body close enough to the fire.
After the fire had been extinguished, the temperature inside the burnt module of Mir was about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The crew was able to avoid serious exposure to smoke thanks to their quick action on the oxygen masks. The fire in February of 1997 wasn't the first or last trouble for Mir. In June of 1997, just months after the fire, a Progress resupply craft collided with the Spectre module of the station. I talked about this collision back in episode 42, so be sure to check out that older episode if you'd like to learn more. I'm linking to some of Jerry Lininger's content that's available at the NASA History website. I'm also linking to older Space Shot episodes that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. I'd really appreciate it if you could venture into the Apple Podcasts app or your podcast app of choice and leave a review for The Space Shot. If you could take just a minute of your time to leave a review, I would be incredibly grateful. To those of you that have already left reviews, I appreciate it. For everybody else, reviews are critical because a steady stream of them ensures that The Space Shot is more visible in the Apple Podcasts app. As always, the show notes have more information on today's episode. You can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. Find me at John Molnix. I'm always up to chat. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Just search The Space Shot or click the link in the show notes and you'll find me. Tomorrow, STS-133, the final flight of the Shuttle Discovery. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.